Welcome to Voices Beyond the Spectrum. Real stories, brave voices, radiant perspectives. This is the podcast for parents and caregivers of autistic and neurodivergent children and teens. I'm your host, and each week we hold space for honest conversations, shared struggles, and hard-won victories from those who truly live it. You're not alone, your story matters, and it starts here. Hello, and welcome back to Voices Beyond the Spectrum Resource Hub Edition. I'm your host, Karla Chinen, and I'm so glad you're joining us today. This edition of the podcast is dedicated to spotlighting organizations, programs, and leaders who are creating a real access, real inclusion, and meaningful opportunities for our neurodivergent individuals and their families. My goal is to always help families and professionals not only learn about resources, but truly understand how they work, who they're for, and why it matters. Today's conversation is one I'm especially excited about because it sits in the intersection of creativity, inclusion, education, and belonging. I'm honored to welcome Dr. Larson to the podcast. Dr. Larson has dedicated her career to advancing high-quality, inclusive education for students with disabilities. She brings a wealth of experience as an educator, researcher, and leader, having held faculty and leadership roles at UC Riverside, Brandman University, now UMass Global, the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing, and currently at the University of La Verne. There, she serves as Associate Department Chair and Program Chair within the Lafayette College of Education. Her academic work spans virtual teacher education, program design, and special education, including her role as a co-author on the Copernicus Project and an $11.5 million U.S. Department of Education grant focused on strengthening education preparation. But beyond academia, Dr. Larson impact extends deeply into the community. She is the founder of Odyssey Inclusive, a national program within the Odyssey of the Mind, created specifically to expand access to and a meaningful participation for individuals with disabilities. She continues to serve both the National Program Director and California Program Director. Her commitment to service and mentorship was recognized in 2024 when she was honored as Volunteer of the Year by Riverside Chamber of Commerce. Dr. Larson, thank you very much for being here. I'm truly grateful for your work and what you do, and for taking the time to share it with us and our listeners today. So to start us off, I love to ground our listeners who may be hearing about this work for the first time. Can you share a little bit about how the idea of Odyssey Inclusive began and what personally inspired you to create the program specifically designed for the neurodiverse students and the students with disabilities?
Well, thank you so much for having me here today. I'm really excited to talk with you about this program. It's a passion project for me, and it's been many years in the making. So I'm just very grateful again to be talking with everyone today. Odyssey Inclusive came about through my work in Odyssey of the Mind, which is an international creativity competition. The program's been around since the 1970s. It was started by Dr. Sam Michaelis. He was an engineering professor on the East Coast, and he did a project with his college students where they had to create a device that went across the college pond without any of the normal obvious means of propulsion. This was an annual event and it got some press, and parents in the area were like, we'd really like our school age children to have an opportunity to do something like this. And so Odyssey of the Mind was born. And what the organization does every year is it puts out 6 different problems that teams of 5 to 7 students can solve as creatively as possible. And there's a vehicle problem, there's a technical, a classical history, a balsa wood structure, a performance problem, and then there's a primary problem for kindergartners through 2nd grade. The end result is an 8-minute theatrical performance where the teams have done everything. They've created all the props, scenery, costumes, they've created any required technical elements. And the goal really is for them to work together to solve the problem that's been given to them as creatively as possible. And so when they go to tournament and perform, they want the judges to say, oh my goodness, how did they come up with that? The other part of the program is called spontaneous. On the day of the tournament, the teams also have to solve a problem together on the spot. They don't know what that problem is going to be. They walk into the room, they're given directions, they're given about 10 minutes to solve that problem. And so you can imagine there's just a lot of amazing things that kids who participate in this program learn: teamwork, leadership, problem solving, creativity. It touches on all the different content areas, and a lot of the social skills and soft skills that we really want to see our kids grow in and develop, so that they can be successful adults. This program also draws in a lot of neurodivergent kids because it's all about divergent creative thinking. And so they really find a home in this program and thrive in the program. Both our kids, they're 28 now, were in the program. My husband and I were their coaches for 10 years. And then I was the California state director, volunteer state director for 10 years after that. Throughout all of those experiences and with my background in special education, I was like, this is an amazing opportunity for neurodivergent kids, but I think we can go a step further. And I would really like to see students and adults with more significant disabilities also have an appropriately accommodated opportunity to benefit from this program. So when I stepped down from being state director, I put my full attention to developing what is now Odyssey Inclusive. And the national directors, who are the son of the original founder, Dr. Sammy Michaelis, and his wife, Cheryl, are now the international directors for Odyssey of the Mind. When I brought this idea to them, they were just thrilled beyond belief. They thought this was an amazing opportunity to provide an Odyssey of the Mind experience for kids with more significant disabilities. So, and we can talk more about what that program looks like as we go along, but that's kind of the genesis of Odyssey Inclusive.
Awesome. And for those who may already be familiar with Odyssey of the Mind, they might be wondering how Odyssey Inclusive fits into the larger framework. Can you kind of expand on that?
Right. So Odyssey Inclusive is a program that's under the umbrella of Odyssey of the Mind. So every year I develop the materials and everything that goes into Odyssey Inclusive. And then the Odyssey of the Mind organization puts everything on their website in their Odyssey of the Mind portal. The membership process is handled through the Odyssey of the Mind organization. So it's a subset of Odyssey of the Mind and just a different opportunity within Odyssey of the Mind.
Awesome. And as you're sharing that, I love for you to see if you can explain it in simple and accessible terms what Odyssey Inclusive is and what its core goals are, and where the creativity comes in the teamwork, arts, social skills, and problem solving.
Exactly. So Odyssey Inclusive is, like I mentioned, an opportunity for students and adults with more significant disabilities to have an appropriately accommodated experience similar to Odyssey of the Mind. So every year I take one of the Odyssey of the Mind problems that was used in the past and I adapt it for Odyssey Inclusive. And what that means is I write the play for the program. The teams don't have to use that. It's used as a base if they want to use it. And there's three versions of that play, and it's about 15 minutes long. And there's a full script version they can use. There's what I call the words removed Mad Libs version, where I've removed keywords and then the teams can decide which words to put into their play and individualize it that way. And then I also provide just a script outline. So if a team wants to write their own play, I've given them an outline and they can use that. And then I also provide a story version. So if there's an opportunity where the teacher or the coach wants to read the story and the team acts it out as the story is being read, then that's an opportunity for them as well. And honestly, teams can do any combination of those three things. So if they want to start with the full script and make alterations, that's fine. Like last year, we had a team, there were animals in the script, and one of the team members wanted to be a tree. And there wasn't a tree character in the play, but somebody really wanted to be a tree. Like that was their goal. And so they wrote a tree character into their play, and that was totally fine. So again, the play that I provide every year is just a base. The play that I write incorporates special education focus areas. So things like positive behavior, social skills, healthy eating, anti-bullying messages, things like that. So we're seeing that, and I did that on purpose so that the program could be incorporated into special education programming and really address some of the important focal areas that we know we need to be addressing for our students with disabilities and adults with disabilities. And the spontaneous program has also been adapted. So I have adapted and accommodated spontaneous problems, and there's 3 levels of accommodation that are available to the teams, and they work together to decide which level of the problem is most appropriate for them. For example, one of the spontaneous problems we used last year was moving objects from one bucket to another as a team. The first level of accommodation was just them passing hand to hand the item from one end to the other. The second level of accommodation was using various devices to pick up the objects and move them from one bucket to the other. So, like spatulas or paper plate that they could use as a kind of a sandwich to pick it up. And we had a lot of different things they could choose from. And the third level was them making objects that they could move the items from one bucket to another. And again, any type of accommodation with those three levels is completely allowable if a teacher or a coach comes in and says, well, we can kind of do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Again, it's totally adaptable to whatever the team's needs are.
And that's great to see. So now let's go from the vision to the practice. So I think what really resonates about is it's what you're sharing, that is not just a philosophy. It's something that actually families can see and experience. So let's talk about it, how it actually looks in practice. Can you walk us through to a typical like Odyssey Inclusive season, what its season looks like with the teams?
Absolutely. The nice thing about Odyssey Inclusive is that it can take place in a lot of different settings. So it can definitely take place during the school day. Again, I've written the plays in the program to focus on key areas in special education that we know teachers are focusing on every day. There's content areas, social skills, those kinds of things. So we know that it can be incorporated into school day. We also know that that can be difficult and challenging given all the things that are going on in classrooms. And so we've also seen the program be highly successful in after school programs and community based programs. And we've seen like programs where classes meet on the weekends, after school, summer programs, spring break programs. So this is highly adaptable and can really be made to fit in any type of situation where groups of kids are coming together and wanting to have fun and work together. So that's the nice thing about this. Odyssey of the Mind tends to be a bit more restrictive in terms of where the program can be held and where teams can meet. We have a lot of flexibility within Odyssey of the Mind. So that's an exciting aspect of this. So generally what happens is whenever the team wants to get started during the year, again, we're not hampered by any kind of schedule or calendar or anything. The team gets, you decide that you want to have a team. We have free coach training. I've written 5 online self-paced modules that are both in written and video format. And so the coach would go through those training modules. Let me know if you have any questions or need support. I'm always available to support the coaches in California. And then you would go through whatever your organization's process is for forming a team. So whatever permissions or process that your organization or school has in place for that. Get parents engaged, let them know what the program's about. I have a slide deck that's ready to go for that type of meeting. I can also come to a meeting and share with parents about the program. We have some photos and videos which show how much fun the kids are having. And then once you have enough kids signed up for your team, which can be all students with disabilities or it can be an inclusive team. So we've both types of teams across the program for the past couple of years. We would love to see inclusive teams where we have those with and without disabilities working together. So that's definitely a possibility. Or it can be a team of all individuals with disabilities. So you'd start your practices. Generally, again, it depends on the structure of your program or the school. A lot of times teams meet once per week. But if you're in a school setting and you can do it a little bit every day, like, an afternoon activity or something like that, that's totally fine as well. So it really depends on how the program is rolled out, depending on how many times the team is going to meet and when and so on. So that's completely flexible. So the team starts working together. You work on the play performance. The team can make basic props, scenery, and costumes as well to the ability that, they're able to do that. You work on the play performance. You have spontaneous practice, working on those problem solving skills and working together. And then when the team's getting ready for their performance, when they feel like they're ready, then you would let me know and we would schedule the performance. We can either do that at the Odyssey of the Mind regional tournament, or we can organize a performance at your school or program site. We know that transportation and timing can be challenging sometimes in special ed, so we're more than happy to facilitate a performance at the program or school site. And we would have some trained officials come out and watch the performance, provide some amazing positive feedback, some participation medals, and we would all celebrate the work that they were able to do together.
And is there any specific areas right now that you cover or any limitations in regards to where you can provide this program if someone reaches out to you? How does that look?
At this point, we can provide the program anywhere in the state of California. I would be able to provide training over Zoom if I can't physically get out to a location and provide as much support as necessary. We have Odyssey of the Mind teams all over the state of California, and we usually don't have any trouble finding folks who want to be involved in providing that positive feedback for performances. There's just a lot of excitement about this program within the Odyssey of the Mind community. I'm fairly confident that no matter where it is in California, we could find a couple of Odyssey of the Mind folks that I could train to go in and provide that positive feedback for the team.
So, for the, let's say, initiation of the program, let's say a school district is interested, or let's say a mom lets the school district know about this program. How can they go about to kind of get it going? Or who that do they have to contact for that to get going?
So they would send me an email, and it's Odyssey Inclusive at odysseyofthemind.com. And you would send me an email. I'm the state coordinator as well as the national coordinator. And then we would let the national office know that the school district or the program is interested in purchasing a membership. At this time, it's $290 for a membership, and that gives you access to the past 3 years worth of material. So the team would have 3 different plays that they could choose from, and as many teams in that organization that wanted to participate could go under that membership. So let's say Butterfield Elementary in Moreno Valley just popped into my head because we've had some OM teams there in the past. If they wanted to have Odyssey Inclusive, they would purchase a membership and they could have as many Odyssey Inclusive teams as they wanted through that membership.
Perfect. And you mentioned earlier, and I love to for you to talk a little bit more about the team composition. One of the things that really stands out about the Odyssey Inclusive is the intentional emphasis on having at least 50% of the team members be students with identified disabilities while also welcoming students without disabilities and the meaningful roles behind that. Can you expand on that?
Absolutely. So my goal really was to provide an inclusive opportunity for kids with disabilities to be working with those without disabilities. And so we do encourage inclusive teams. We would like to see, like you mentioned, at least 50% of the team being students or adults with disabilities and 50% without, just to encourage a balance of members on the team. And we've seen successful programs that are inclusive and those that aren't inclusive as well. So we had a team in Moreno Valley, not this past season, but the season before, who had a class of students with more significant disabilities, and the teacher brought in RSP students to come in and be buddies during the lunchtime hour. And they had lunch together, they did activities together, they had built a wonderful rapport with each other and friendship. And so the teacher built an inclusive team. They were all students with disabilities, but it was a range of disabilities. And it was the most heartwarming thing to see those kids work together on that performance. And the kids, the RSP students on the team, did just an incredible, like, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. They did an amazing job working with the kids on their team. And you could see during the play performance, it was all about appropriate support and just some gentle reminders. Hey, it's your turn to say your line and things like that. They didn't overwhelm the performance or anything. It was clearly a team effort. And the same thing was spontaneous. They did the object passing, and they just automatically sat down with RSP, more significant, RSP, more, like, they just organized themselves that way without even thinking about it. And throughout that whole activity, again, it was just such a heartwarming thing to see that they were all working together towards the common goal of completing that activity together. And they were cheering each other on and were so excited when they were successful. Excuse me, that was exactly what we hoped to see.
And what I appreciate about programs like this is that the impact goes so much beyond the activity itself to really impact the individual. From your perspective, what are some of the most powerful skills students have developed through the Odyssey Inclusive, whether that's communication, collaboration, confidence, or self-advocacy? Can you expand on that?
I'd say all of those and more. We in the state of New York, we have a licensed PhD in child psychiatry is the New York State director's husband, and they are The program is thriving in the state of New York right now because they are just so proactive and excited about this program.
Mhm.
And he's actually collected some baseline behavioral data with some of the participants there. So he took a pre and a post assessment, and we saw some fairly impressive gains in positive behaviors through participation in the program. Now, obviously, we can't tie all of that to the program and that sort of thing, but we did see some very positive outcomes for participants. We also have a lot of quantitative feedback from parents who have children participating in the program where they've seen some very positive outcomes of their children participating. And one example that really stands out to me is we had a child who had issues with elopement and from school, from home, became a member of an Odyssey Inclusive team. And the elopement decreased significantly because the child was articulated to the parents, I need to be available for my team. They're counting on me. And so I need to be at school and I need to be at home working on my costume, practicing my lines so that I don't disappoint my team. So we have a great performance. So we're seeing some pretty incredible outcomes. And again, as I continue to focus elements of the program on important special education outcomes, our plan is to continue seeing those positive things from our students who participate.
And I know you've shared a little bit bits and pieces about different stories. And if you're comfortable sharing, are there any additional stories or moments that really stand out for you and really remind you of why you're doing this and the passion and mission behind it?
So I think, well, there's quite a few. I could probably just have a whole podcast about the stories, and this is only the third year of the program, so it's
Oh.
pretty amazing. The first year we had 3 teams pilot. Last year we had 9 teams, and just with those few numbers of teams, the stories that are coming out from the coaches and the parents are incredible. One in particular that stands out to me is the state of Maine piloted with us. We had 2 teams in Southern California and 1 team in Maine, basically because the state director for Odyssey in Maine begged me to be a part of the pilot. I was going to keep it just in SoCal where I could like physically, be involved that first year, but he was like, we have to have this program. So they did the program and it was an inclusive team and they did their performance at the main state tournament because they have just a state tournament. And one of the kids who was on the team had a sibling involved in Odyssey of the Mind as well. And he went up to the state director after the performance and he said, Mr. Jason, I belong.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I'm having a little trouble here.
No, no, no problem.
Those are the moments we live for in this program. And just to see the joy and the excitement of seeing the kids up on stage. Every performance includes singing and dancing. And it's very enthusiastic and it tends to go on for a while, which is wonderful. Kids are waving to their parents and their families from the
Oh,
stage. And it doesn't just impact the child, it impacts everyone who's associated with the child. So
yeah.
classmates, teachers, instructional paraprofessionals, their families. We're seeing some definite positive impacts in the whole environment of the child.
And I believe that that kind of like really shines light on the word inclusivity and really, really not just saying inclusive and just the simple analogy is just putting a table next to another table and each one has their own table, but actually inviting them and to have a seat at the same table. And I think that's what this program is really creating for our community and for families and educators who may need to advocate to bring this program to their area. What advice would you offer to them to start those conversations?
Reach out to me. I'm more than happy to share the outreach materials that we have. We have some general information flyers that have pictures of teams. We've gotten permission to share photos from the teams that have competed over the past couple of years. That's a testament in and of itself to have that visual representation of what this program means for a wide variety of groups of kids. Like one of the teams we had for 2 years in Moreno Valley was an 18 to 22-year-old transition class. And so this was an amazing part of their programming. They were enthusiastic participants. And we're also starting to get some interest from adult programming for special education as well. So regional programs, city type programs that provide services for adults with disabilities, they see this as an opportunity as well to bring the visual and performing arts and all the positive aspects we've seen of the program as well to the adults that they're working with. So We have a lot of outreach materials that I've developed over the years. As you can tell, I'm a very enthusiastic proponent for the program. So if you put me in front of a group of people, I'm going to convince them that this is something they need to have at their school. And from an educator standpoint, I can talk the talk with programming, with school districts. I know how schools work. And also, having been an Odyssey of the Mind coach for 10 years and state director for another 10 years, I understand how the program can be incorporated into the school day or into school programming. So I think just reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to walk that journey to get a program started with your school or your organization.
That's great. I will probably put you in contact with another organization that I talked to. They work with adults and they have a program where they do media.
Oh,
So maybe
fantastic.
they could record you guys and you guys can collaborate,
That would be great.
and then they do productions for Netflix and other
Oh, wow.
large companies. So that would be amazing.
That
That
would be
would give
wonderful.
yeah, so I will give you their information and then maybe you guys can collaborate on something.
That would be
And I
wonderful.
think they're funded also through a regional center. So that would be an amazing partnership, I believe.
I think so.
And
Thank you.
my pleasure. And when you look ahead, what is the vision for the future of Odyssey Inclusive?
Would like it to grow. This is an amazing opportunity. I would love for it to be in every school because I think the opportunity for inclusivity through, like at the high school, through theater programs. I would love to see Odyssey Inclusive be a part of theater programs at the high school level. And again, because it touches on so many important special education areas, I would love to see it incorporated into more elementary and middle schools as well. I think it provides so many benefits and a very different way of addressing some of the skills and competencies that we would love our students with special needs to have. And the opportunity for inclusivity, for bringing together kids with and without disabilities in a fun environment where they're working together towards a goal. I think again, I would just love to see it in many more schools. And I know how challenging it is in schools today, and especially in special education. There's so many demands on special education teachers' time.
Yeah.
But I think that this benefits the students in so many ways. I hope we can get more teachers willing to give it a try. I think once you do it once, you're hooked and you're like, yeah, this is something I'm going to keep doing.
And that's what I've heard a lot of from a personal standpoint with other families and what I see with the families I also service. Once you provide a guide and a purpose to the individuals, they almost flourish, and
Absolutely.
it's so there's no words for those that feeling when you see that happening in an individual right in front of you. And the fact that you are able to witness that, every single opportunity you get when you see the progress and the reason behind it.
Mhm.
So, how do you hope this program continues to shift access for representation and belonging to the neurodiverse students across Odyssey of the Mind and beyond?
Like I mentioned earlier, Odyssey of the Mind provides amazing opportunities for neurodiverse students. So I would encourage, if that's an appropriate opportunity for parents to look into, the program is very active across the state of California. So I can also provide connections to Odyssey of the Mind. So if parents
Mhm.
are interested in getting their kids interested in Odyssey of the Mind, they think that would be an appropriate opportunity for their kids, let me know. And I'm well connected still in the Odyssey of the Mind community in California and across the United States as well. And again, Odyssey Inclusive, I would love to talk with anyone who's interested in getting the program started. We can talk about what some of the barriers may be, the paths that we need to go down in order to get the program started, share some of the flyers, the materials, show some of the pictures where you can clearly see the joy and the engagement of those who are participating. And I would just love to see more kids have access and more adults have access to the program.
And just so you know, and also so the listeners know, your website, all the information you want to provide to get to those families will be in the bio of this podcast. So we will be able to have access to it through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and YouTube. So anyone
Great.
that wants to hear any information of Odyssey Inclusive, just go to the bio and the website, and all the information is going to be there. Dr. Larson's contact information is going to be there. So especially if you're an educator, administrator, or a family that's trying to get this program going with your school districts, you will have access to that information in the bio. So you don't have to go scramble and look for it. It'll be there for you. And finally, what message would you leave to the families and educators who are listening that are considering whether this might be a right fit for their students?
If you have any questions, just reach out to me. I'm more than happy to have a conversation, to explain the program in more detail, to share a performance video with you, and to share some photos and some other stories from participants to just kind of give you an idea of what they have to say about the program as well. My future goal is to do an interview study with the participants. I think we don't hear the participants' voice often enough just in special education research in general. So that's definitely a goal that I have. So just reach out. If it seems a little overwhelming, I'm here to guide anyone who wants to get the program going. I can provide any kind of support that you need. I've also written a week by week coaching guide, which provides tons of activities, and it takes you from the start of your practices all the way up to your team's performance with lots of ideas, links, suggestions. How do you get ready for the play performance? How do you practice spontaneous? Here's a list of spontaneous problems you can do with your team. Here's some theater warm up activities that you can use for your class. So many resources to help you on your journey of providing this program to a group of students or adults. So lots and lots of support. Don't feel overwhelmed. It's an amazing opportunity, and I would love to help you get it started.
Well, Dr. Larson, thank you again for sharing your time, your expertise, your heart with us today. Programs like the Odyssey Inclusive remind us of inclusion, and it's not about lowering expectations, but creating meaningful access to opportunities for every learner to shine. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning into Voices Beyond the Spectrum Resource Hub Edition. If today's episode has resonated with you, we encourage you to explore the resources shared, have conversations in your school and your communities, and continue advocating for spaces where all individuals belong. Thank you very much, and until next time, take care and stay connected. Have a great one. Thank you for joining us on Voices Beyond the Spectrum Resource Hub Edition. A sincere thank you to Dr. Lynn R. Larson, National Program Director of Odyssey Inclusive, part of Odyssey of the Mind. We are grateful for your national leadership you provide in creating inclusive spaces where neurodivergent individuals can thrive, collaborate, and build meaningful skills for the future. Voices Beyond the Spectrum is a production of Empathy for Autism California, Inc. Our original theme music is composed by Brad Kalouv, with piano performance by Sophia Chinen and Brad Kalouv. If today's episode resonated with you, please subscribe, leave a review, and share this conversation with a family, educator, or professional who may benefit from these insights. You can listen to Voices Beyond the Spectrum on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you stream your podcasts. To learn more about trainings, support groups, and community initiatives, visit www.empathyforautismcalifornia.com. Until next time, stay tuned, stay informed, and continue amplifying voices beyond the spectrum.